So I would like to welcome Dr. Eric Verdin to our center.
Thank you for having me.
For being with us. What happened in 2025 and what is to expected in 2026? We're meeting in December, so we're just finishing the year nearly, and this has been a very interesting year for longevity. From my side as a clinic, I'd be very interested to know what you think.
I think if I try to think back of what has happened, we're really seeing a transformation in terms of interest from the public. Mm-hmm. I cannot speak about Poland, but I know in the US and California, longevity, it was the rage everywhere. Everyone is talking about longevity. Every week there's an article about some aspect of longevity. Every other week, every other day, I get a request for an interview.
Really?
So it is a lot.
From all over the world, or is it US?
Mostly in the US, but not only. I think in Europe, from France, Germany, England. Everywhere, longevity has become a whole new trend. Mm-hmm. Health also is becoming cool, which is something which is really interesting. So we see young people being interested in their own longevity. Mm-hmm. This was not the case when I was young. So the idea that people are taking conscious of the role that they play in their own health, I think that's really...
And responsibility.
Right? So that's a big change. At the same time, I think everyone predicts that it's going to amplify again. We had the impression that this was going to happen before the pandemic, and the pandemic sort of put a damper on all of this. I have the feeling now the field is restarting, so incredibly exciting. So that's from the society point of view. From the science point of view, the science is amazing. I have nothing else to say. That there's every other week there's another amazing paper that comes out. We can talk about some specifics later if you want to. More examples of rejuvenation, which I find fascinating.
You see progress in that, because
yes,
you are in this field for 30 years, so you have seen it every year. But is it because so many different centers are now focusing on longevity, or we finally see a progress?
From the clinics, I think that's a whole other world that we see a proliferation of clinics across the US, across the world. So a lot of interest from the patients also. People are realizing that their medical care is not addressing their health. It's addressing their diseases, but it's not addressing their health. Mm-hmm. And that's the premise of the whole field, is that, we have a great system of medicine when you're sick. What about when you're healthy, to prevent you from being sick in the first place? So that's where I think longevity medicine is good. In terms of the science, it is really accelerating also for a number of reasons. I think when fields of research are at the beginning, there are few people. Mm-hmm. You say something new, everybody thinks you're wrong or that you've made a mistake. This was 20 years ago, but now the science of longevity is becoming mainstream, really serious, best science. It's attracting a lot of young people, and every other week, as I mentioned, there's like a major discovery that people... I can only hope of what all is going to happen in the next 10, 20, 30 years because of all of this science.
But I think one of the answers to the why is definitely the access to information through ChatGPT, and also through various solutions that are helping us actually to see what is happening around the world. And also there's a number of associations now and organizations that bring the scientists together, that are working on very similar in the field.
Yes.
And I think this is also through conferences, but also the associations that you're part of. I think this is also helping to learn from each other and then to build on this knowledge.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention your amazing meeting that took place.
Our amazing
meeting that took place at the BAC, getting all the longevity clinics together. And when you start a new field, as the aging field started about 25 years ago, it takes a while for people to first. It's disparate. Everybody's doing their little thing in their corners. Now we're seeing a consolidation of an organization of the field into a number of major organizations that are taking care of the clinics, the science, and so on. So that allows us to amplify the message, to recruit better people. So it's
and to attract new people to
Yes.
this field that were not really interested before.
So I tell people, and I tell young people, if you want to participate in a field of research when there are still major questions to be answered, a field that's going to change medicine, I mean, there's no better field to be working on. And both you and I share the excitement.
I think at the beginning there was a much bigger disproportion between people that wanted to live forever and do the science actually on proving this point, and also on the practical side. Especially this year, I think there's more and more of those fields getting closer together, even biohacking or wellness and hotel industry. Like there's so much interest in the field from various actors that were not at all interested in the...
That's a great point. You almost call it the globalization of longevity, because longevity is a lifestyle. I mean, the longevity medicine is lifestyle, it's a form of lifestyle medicine. And it touches not only you coming to a clinic, but it touches everything in your life. So we're seeing a hotel industry being interested. How can we make our hotels, our rooms better for sleeping? How can we bring better food to our patrons? Spas. We
with
get
red light, with hyperbaric chambers.
Cities are wondering, what can we do to actually make our cities more prone to having healthy people, by making people walk. There's a whole blue zone kind of idea, blue zone project. So there is so much, and then you realize longevity actually is going to permeate everything in society. People are speaking quite often about commercial interest. There are so many opportunities in this field. The whole idea of wellness, spa, sports, and all this can all be affected by this longevity movement.
Very much. I mean, also food. It can be more functional. That can be more healthy. I mean, as you say, there's so many industries that are then somehow contributing to the field. So what about 2026? What do you think? What can we expect then?
A lot more of the same. So I hope we all, when you share the excitement of what it is to be in this field, in my opinion, there's going to be more of this, more globalization. Initially, this was really a very California effort. It's spread across the US, it's spread across the world. We're seeing developing countries now being interested in this. The buck is involved now in this new collaboration with Mauritius, which had a big international meeting of longevity. And so when you see this, Africa, South America, the whole Southeast Asia, Thailand, we had at our meeting, we had people from Thailand. I think it's a China. It's a globalization of health consciousness, which I think is going to be amazing for human health in the long run.
But what will be important is to have a very similar approach to that. And I think this is the most important, especially from the context of clinics, that when we discuss the globalization, so that we talk about the same concept, that we all talk about health span rather than lifespan, or at least as a priority, health span.
Right now, exactly. The great side that we're discussing is this globalization. The bad side is that people recognize that longevity is a buzzword that allows you to sell. And so I was told, for example, in Dubai, there's a longevity hair salon. So obviously this is going a little too far for my own taste, but there are also groups of people who are talking about immortality, who are talking about things that are not really scientific or that are basically hyped, proliferation of supplement companies. So there's a lot of actors who are sort of jumping on the bandwagon of the longevity movement, hoping to make money. I don't have a problem with people making money, but we also, as some of the serious players in the field, we want to make sure that there's integrity, that we don't sell a lie to people. So I think it's going to be, along with the growth and the enthusiasm, we're going to have a whole series of challenge in terms of making sure we cannot control everything, and I don't think we should try, but making sure that we stay true to ourselves, our mission, our values in terms of what we're delivering, because despite all of this noise and this froth, eventually there's going to be consolidation, the serious players are going to survive, and we want to be among those, the people who, taking a steady course, not over-promising, not hyping what we're going to be delivering, but delivering true value to people. And I think in the long term, this is what's going to allow your clinic, the Buck Institute and other organizations who are serious about this to survive and to thrive.
No, very interesting. So, what are the most interesting research areas that you think that should be followed, or that it's now something that you are especially excited about?
Yeah, there's one area that really excites me is for a long time when we think about aging research, we have focused on slowing down the aging process. And this is what still occupies most people. Okay, you start early in your 30s, in your 40s, and you really minimize all of the insults that lead to aging. And I think we know how to do this, even in humans. There's another frontier which gets harder, is can we actually revert aging? Let's say you're reaching the age of 70 or 80 and you haven't done so well because you did not pay attention, or you have a genetic background which is not good for your longevity. All of this can happen. Can we actually bring you back and make you younger? So the whole idea of rejuvenation, which will always be important, by the way, because even though we can slow aging, we cannot stop it. And I know that there's some talks about stopping aging. I don't think it's possible for a whole series of reasons. So the question is, if you continue aging, at some point you're going to need some rejuvenation therapies. What are these? There's growing evidence that we can do this, which is remarkable, not only in mice, which is relatively easy, but especially in non-human primates. We can do this in monkeys now. There's a study that came out of China last year that I just found really amazing, that shows you can rejuvenate monkeys by the equivalent of 10 years for a human with a shorter term therapy. So that's not available in the clinic yet. It's not accessible, but the proof of concept is there. It can be done. So obviously we want that study to be repeated. It's based on stem cell therapy. There's a lot of interest and noise about what stem cells can do and cannot do. There's no approved stem cells in humans for aging, so beware of...
And I think this is very important.
Yes.
Not yet for aging, but for other...
For other indication, especially for joint disease and so on, there's more and more evidence that some stem cells might be beneficial. But this is like an active area of investigation where we need clinical trials. We need to prove it's safe and effective. But the whole rejuvenation brings a whole other dimension. Could this be reversing aging to some degree? Little steps at the beginning, but hopefully in the future more.
Or reversing some of the damages that are our priority,
Yes.
let's say.
I wrote a review with a student in my lab about what we call replacement therapy, which is this idea that we're now, all the organ transplantation. We heard the leaders of China talking about, replacing organs as we age. And
Not only leaders of China, I think, some of people in your field.
yes, yeah, some people in the field are talking, but it became very public because they were discussing it at a summit. And the question, could you stop aging by replacing everything? I would say no, because at some point you would have to replace your brain. And if we replace your brain, that wouldn't be you. But so it's not going to be a way to immortality. But we already do replace organs by transplantation. Will this be amenable for anti-aging research in the future? I don't know. But clearly there's a lot of work in all of these directions. And in the future, I think...
A lot of research, and this is why I think the clinics are playing an important role, because of course it's not to test the untested therapies, but in clinics we actually doing a lot of different tests. We understand our clients very well in terms of their biology and their physiology and their also various aspects of their health. And I think this is also a great opportunity to work between clinics. This is what we are trying to do. And also with institutions like the Bach Institute, because also like the Bach has changed a lot since a few years. So you are now focusing much more than a few years ago on practical applications into humans and what can we do actually today. And I think this is therefore it's an ideal platform to work with together with you.
And these efforts are going to go accelerating. I know for the Bach, for example, our vision right now is that the Institute, which was 100% animal models, understanding the basic biology of aging, now is soon going to be 50-50, where we do 50% still. You need basic research. We don't have a full understanding of what aging is, how it works, its mechanism, its target. But at the same time, we have to be courageous. We have to go in people and try to start learning what is human aging, how do we slow it down, how do we repair, how do we rejuvenate. All of this, I'm convinced, for the next 20 years, we're going to see massive advances.
Very interesting. So we're looking forward to 2026 then,
yes,
and I look forward to our next conference.
Agree, more of the same, and you know, the prediction is that that we're going to see some of the first drugs that target the aging process being approved by the FDA in the next 5 years. So.
And you don't talk about GLP-1. It's.
Oh, yeah, I do talk a lot about GLP-1.
No, but I mean, it's when you now said about new drugs. It's not only GLP-1. There will be others.
There will be others. SGLT2 inhibitors. There's a whole other class of drugs that are targeting sugar metabolism for diabetics that appear to be having protective effect. Yes, there are more targets than I have the time to discuss.
In terms of the immune system and many others,
yes.
I think, it's definitely going to be an interesting year. So please join our conference if you're interested to learn more about the longevity field and especially the practical longevity. And all our Longevity Academy, where you can also learn a lot about how to run a longevity clinic. Thank you very much.
Join us. It's an amazing field to be working in.